Hello, this is Kurt Wallner, and today we're going to color in my Oval Office drawing. And before we begin, we have to decide a very important thing, which is what color are things really? Any internet search of the Oval Office shows a variety of images captured by different color systems and different cameras and different lighting conditions, and it's just a mess. So my trick is to pick one that I think looks nice and use that as a color guide and stick with it. While keeping the color guidance in mind, let's start coloring in this most famous room in the White House. The Oval Office is a complex subject, but I'm going to walk you through a couple of fun things that we did on this project. We're going to start off with the sofa. You go online and you find photos of the sofa. This sofa has been in the Oval Office for quite some time now. Try and extract parts of the pattern of the sofa upholstery out of it as best you can, and then you distort that pattern into a square. Nice square. And then using that as a basis, you can up-res it and then trace it for real so that you can kind of get an idea of what the actual details are. You map the pattern onto the sofa itself using the photos that you found of the real thing to base where the pattern fits onto the sofa. And that yields a cartoon that looks a lot like this. And then, if you're really lucky, then you trace... I ink the sofa in its outlines, and then I put in the light background color, which in this case is like a light shade of beige. And then, after you ink the thing, then you can take your cartoon of the sofa pattern, and you slip that under the paper, and you start tracing the pattern in a darker shade of ink, a darker shade of this beige colored ink. And that way you get a sofa eventually. Then there's the Resolute desk. Very complicated subject. One of the things that I do in my pieces is I try and make sure that I'm drawing on a scale that's large enough to give me a fighting chance to get all this detail in. And the Resolute desk is a good example of that. It's not very big space to get an awful lot of detail in. And I try my hardest to get it all in there. And then there's the crown molding at the top of the Oval Office. Nice big problem for me in that they're just little tiny parallel curved lines. Very treacherous. And then moving on to doing the molding around the door, and I love doing all this kind of stuff. Then we move on to the wallpaper. Reducing the wallpaper pattern down to a simple approximation of what the pattern is. I can't get all the detail in that small space, but I try to give the general impression. And the wallpaper is reflective in some kind of way, so it photographs differently. It's hard to know what its real appearance looks like. So however this turns out, I'm good. I think that I've mentioned that I love drawing doors and windows and molding and all that kind of stuff, but I also like drawing fireplaces, and the White House has an astonishing array of fireplaces, and they really know how to make them too. They stack up the logs and they put tinder in between, and it's all just stacked up so nice and neat so that whoever is in charge, the president or whomever, can just fire it right on up. I love putting in all of this kind of stuff. It's a challenge to get it all nice and inky and dusty and icky looking and stuff like that, but I manage. Another fun operation that we took care of was the stuff that's in the background that shows through the windows of all of these doors and windows in the Oval Office and Cabinet Room. If you could imagine what it would be like to stand beyond these rooms and look back toward the residence over the Rose Garden, this is the prospect of drawing the background. Start out with a great big gigantic pencil sketch of what probably would be there, and then slip that underneath the main drawing and color it in accordingly, only kind of ghosted back effect. So the Oval Office drawing turned out rather nicely, I think. The curvature of the wall is very evocative, and I like all of the details, and it's turned out really satisfying. I'm enjoying the way this looks. One thing that I wanted to tell you about before I let you go this time has to do with the scanning of the pieces. When I get them finished, I have them scanned by a gentleman in LA named David Coons. He runs an outfit called Art Scans, and what he doesn't know about color reproduction and management is not worth knowing. So David takes the artworks, and he usually shoots them with a camera while they're on the ground. So he puts them on the floor, puts a piece of glass over them, and then takes high-resolution pictures of them and then tiles them all together. And when he sent me the scan of the Oval Office picture back, zooming in and doing my little retouching, it turned out that there was something underneath that got between the drawing and the glass, specifically over Alexander Hamilton's portrait. No offense, Alexander, but a bug had gotten in there, and David usually catches things like this. He didn't catch this one. A very amusing episode, I'll tell you. It doesn't take much around here, does it? If you're enjoying these videos, please subscribe to the channel if you would. Thank you for your attention. Until next time, bye-bye.